What's hot? We talk about stories that have everyone talking.
And today we're joined by local blogger Rochelle Fritsch. Jeff Wagner back with us. Colorado's Department of Public Safety says new background checks law has kept 72 criminals from buying guns. The law, though, still under fire. What are your thoughts on expanded background checks? A lot of states moved ahead on these things after the Connecticut school shooting.
Right, and this particular law applies to private sales. I mean, the way it works now is if you go to a licensed federal firearms dealer, a gun store or whatever, they have to run a background check. This law applies to, individual transactions. For example, Courtney, if you want to sell me a firearm, this would require you to run the background check.
And that's where a lot of the problems have come in, is there's no oversight in these kinds of deals.
Right.
I guess my question is, and I've never had a problem with expanded background checks. I guess I have a couple questions. First of all, what happened to these 72 people who tried to buy guns? Was there a subsequent prosecution of them? Are they in jail? Because that's the important thing, because the truth is, if you just say, no, you can't have a gun, they're going to go out and probably find another way to get a gun.
Right.
So you need to have that follow-up.
You have to make them pay.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. I mean, because that was going to be my next question. I mean, of course, they've got the numbers to say that 72 people were stopped, but all laws can't do all things. So I wonder, like the straw buyer, somebody who only has a misdemeanor. So, I mean, we can't do everything and cover all sides, but for the 72 people it stopped, well, they've been stopped.
But you then need the follow-up because they were stopped because they couldn't buy that particular firearm.
Right.
If all it does is say, okay, I can't buy the gun from you, but here I'm going to go try to, find somebody else on the black market or whatever to buy it. They've still got the gun.
Right.
That's why you need to do the follow-up, and you need to have the prosecutions to get the people who shouldn't have the guns, keep those guns out of their hands.
So it needs to be multi-layered, is what you're talking about.
there's-
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be able to stop everyone.
No.
Because criminals are going to find a way. But like Jeff, as you were saying, I think that if you follow through with one set of rules
and
at
a
least
penalty,
then, at least then you've established something and you're making some progress.
Because here you have felons that were trying to get guns, and I think I don't care whether you're pro-gun, anti-gun, whatever. I think we would all agree that people with homicide convictions or dangerous felons shouldn't be allowed to have firearms.
Well, and the thing that I thought was really crazy to begin with, I'm thinking, it's not like you've forgotten that you're a felon. Do you know what I'm saying? Why would you try this?
No, they didn't forget.
No, they just don't care. All right, guys, coming up next, we are revealing the viewer's choice topic.
And Brian Goddard has another look at your balmy forecast.
Topic of the day.
And again, we are joined by Rochelle Fritsch and Jeff Wagner of 620 WTMJ. It's our big story of the day, the weather. Last Sunday's chaotic day of multi-car crashes is still on a lot of people's minds. Do you think we'll be able to avoid another messy situation this weekend? Well, I guess it all depends on the drivers.
So I don't know how you can't watch that and maybe think, I should leave a little more distance, slow
maybe
down.
not take the highway.
I think it's like every year we all have to remember and remind ourselves and relearn how to drive in the snow.
This was bad, though.
It was awful. It was awful. And like you're saying, to me it's common sense. You're going to leave a little bit earlier. You're going to drive a little bit slower. You're going to leave room for the car ahead of you. And for people that have the four-wheel drive, it's awesome that your car can do all these things in the snow, but tiny little cars like mine can't do that. So it's like drive for each other, kind of be considerate, just be extra careful.
See, here's the problem, and you guys are all being very, very nice and kind. Which, the
all right,
truth
Jeff,
is,
go.
The
Give
truth
it to
is,
us.
there's a lot of freaking bozos that are out there behind the wheel of a car. I mean, you look at that thing out in Germantown. I mean, I'm sorry. I was out Sunday morning driving around. It was apparent to anybody with an IQ above plant life that it was bad, that you shouldn't be, you had the ground blizzard stuff, you had the visibility.
But yet that video shows people
just
flying.
Exactly. Right.
I mean,
And then, oh, wait, I have to brake.
I mean, and as we say, it's
Look
a
at this
cliche.
guy right here.
You can't
Bam!
you can't fix stupid, and that's. I'm sorry, driving that
now
fast,
they
you
start to slow down.
can't fix stupid.
Too late.
So I guess the lesson is you hope that we'd all learn. And look, you're right that people kind of forget how to drive with the big snowstorms, but for goodness sakes,
I would have thought people would have been a little bit more alert. I mean, this is my first snowstorm, my first snow in Wisconsin, and I was driving 10 miles an hour on the street Sunday to get to work. And so when we see this video, like you said, they're flying down the highway. It's like, when did you think that snow would just disappear and you would have the ability
and
to
that's
actually...
the biggest fear, too, somebody like that hitting you.
Yep.
All right, time for our lightning round. Twitter changes the way the block function works, then changes it back. Twitter said the change to get rid of the feature was meant to protect victims of harassment, but many users were not convinced, said the change empowered perpetrators of online abuse. Your thoughts on all this?
Okay, this is Bozo Part 2. I mean, what Twitter
on a roll.
what Twitter ends up doing is, if you've got somebody that's sending harassing or obscene or whatever tweets, they change the rules so you can block them. So they'll still send them. You just don't get them. That makes no sense to me at all. I mean, it's just, okay, maybe you want to block the person from sending them in the first place, right?
Well, and the thing of it is, the person that you're blocking can still tweet at you.
Yeah.
And see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how they.
So basically, the
no
victim's
idea.
just left in the dark.
Right.
Basically.
That all this is still going on.
Yeah, the aggressor
I'm
is
glad
still
I've never
out
had
there.
to use the block. I mean, you know, this just seems like a lot. But I do understand for people who are on Twitter and may get harassed, they may not want to have someone to continue to be on their timeline, but it's, I don't know, it's common sense to me.
Well, see, now, the one thing is, like Shannon,
to
for
common
years and
sense.
years, everybody, you know, on TV here has been pushing me to get on Twitter. This is what you want me to be part of? Thanks a lot, Courtney, huh?
No,
You have handlers, though. People do everything for you. You don't even know what's going on.
you could get rid of the bozos.
All right, Rochelle, Jeff, thank you.
Well, that does it for our hot topics, but you can always finish the conversation online. You can find the page at tmj4.com/hot.